Well, hi there. Welcome to Real WW Talk. I am Erin.
I'm Candice.
And I'm Rikki.
We're so glad that you are here. If you are brand new to Real WW Talk, welcome. Come on in. Every week we like to just hang out and discuss our week on WW, and then maybe a topic that the three of us are feeling or that we've struggled with. So I'm going to kick it off this week. How do you like that? Dun, dun,
Go
dun,
ahead,
dun,
take
dun.
control, Erin.
I know. I figure I'm already doing it. I'm just going to dive in.
Yes.
Ladies, I had a good week. We try not to classify weeks as good or bad. So I apologize. I started out with good, but I maintained another really stressful week, but I stayed on track this week and came out even. And that feels really good knowing previous history when I would have this level of stress. I've talked about, I'm still trying to find my way through with this and not be overwhelmed by other things and have my attention kind of pulled from some of my goals and the things that I want to achieve. So I feel like this was a really good week for me in the sense that I was paying attention to what are the habits that I want to maintain and the habits that I want to create, and I maintained them this week.
Well, that's always a win. And I like the fact that you started off saying, I had a good week about a maintain. That actually is a win because a lot of people can view a maintain in a negative light. And I love the fact that you're putting a positive spin on that.
Yeah. And I think any week where you're, able to maintain those habits and reflect on it in that way is a good week.
Yep. I still need to up my water. I know that I haven't had enough water that I should because I haven't been getting my extra bonus point for the water, but I just have to work harder on getting it in me. So
Good news, it's only 1 point. I'm not bitter.
Right.
I'm not bitter.
It's not like the vegetables, right? We could have more for that. All right, Rikki, you go.
Well, I also had a good air quote week. I just because, I think the behaviors that I implemented were good. I maintained my afternoon workouts. And I also upped my time a little bit because there were some evenings where I was like, I just need to do something. If I do 10 minutes today, that's okay. And which is fine. But there were other days where I challenged myself to do 45-minute or like a 30-minute ride. So that was good. And I was down a pound this week. So
Wow.
I was happy to see that reflection on the scale.
That's awesome. Okay, let me ask you, what do you feel more proud of? The fact that you were down a pound or that you've maintained your afternoon exercise and all those habits? Which feels better?
Well, it's funny. I'm reading more and more of Atomic Habits. And I feel like the habit is the important thing because the scale, how many weeks in the years I've been doing this have I lost weight in a week? But still, I'm still working towards my goal and I've still gained different weeks and gained, weight over the holidays. So the habits for me are what are going to get me to my goal. And I just, I'm still chugging my way through that book slowly but surely, but it's teaching me a lot about day-to-day choices and the way I view myself, and being positive about that.
Yeah, and I still continue to be just so focused on your evening exercise because that's such a major thing from the Rikki that I knew in the past who was dead set against it. And the fact that it continues to be something that you've added to your journey.
Yeah.
And not even with the scale as validation, just it shows that your mindset can change at any point in time.
Yeah.
And that it can be for the better. And it's like, wow, I actually don't have to believe this all the time. Like,
Yeah.
There were a couple of times where Candice was even like, she sent me a message and said, "Hey, I'm doing a Peloton ride in the 6 o'clock. Do you want to join me?" I was like, I don't do that.
I don't do evenings. So sorry. My show's on. I was like, oh, okay. Well, I didn't know that happens with the body, but now I know.
I don't. And people always say that like if you exercise in the evening, it could interrupt your sleep cycle. So it was like that was a good excuse for me to say I don't do that. But really, it's like it's not a problem. I can do it, and I got myself out of that box.
Have you found that it's affected your sleep in any way? Just curious.
No, I haven't.
No, if anything, I think evening exercise makes me too pooped to pop. I'm ready to go to bed.
Right.
Me too. I sleep better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Absolutely.
Okay, so Candice, you're up, and we have not been talking about weight loss with you. We've been focusing more on the healthy habits and a lot on the mental health. And there's been a really specific reason behind that. So I'll let
Dun,
you.
dun, dun.
Dun, dun, dun.
Well, I figured it was good time as any to share with everyone that I am expecting baby number 2. I did find out this past October that the little one was on the way. Erin and Rikki have been very great about helping to keep secret, keep it quiet, which was really tough because, getting through the first trimester is not very easy. But something that's been very exciting, but also I had shared last week with you all because I was actually going to announce last week. We had this whole plan that this was how I was going to announce, like on the show last week. But we got some difficult news recently about the baby that kind of put us in a tailspin. We don't have not a lot of specifics to give right now, but some difficult news about the pregnancy and the baby that has really made life very uncertain for me right now and very difficult to process. So I have not been focused on weighing in and focused on weight, but more trying to deal with a time in my life where there has been such excitement and recently such uncertainty.
Mhm.
And walking through that. So you all may have seen that Erin and Rikki came over on Saturday and dropped off. I had to have, the best way to make me feel better is to bring me something to eat. Okay. Let's just put it out there. And we did it in a healthy way. We had some salads, courtesy of Rikki, and then Erin made this delightful chocolate loving,
So good.
lovely thing that I don't even care what it was. We counted 22 points for it, and that was
Yeah,
just
it
it.
was not a quote unquote WW recipe, but we worked our points so that we could do the salad. We
Mhm.
got our veggies. The plus of the veggies went towards enjoying this dessert. We traded
There
some
were
points
like
out.
3 pluses with the veggies too, because it
Right.
was a giant chopped salad.
So
So I don't know about you guys, but I think it counted 3 pluses for me because
Yeah.
it's a giant
and
salad.
because I haven't really been great about tracking, and that's something I was sharing with the ladies is that I've been struggling to find balance when everything else feels just so out of control. Like
Mhm.
I'm literally at a point in time right now where I'm taking everything day by day,
Mhm.
and it's a tough place to be. And I was not sure if I wanted to share because I was excited to share the excitement of a baby and had gotten to the point where it was safe. I felt safe enough in my pregnancy to share. And to have to be in such an uncertain place now is tough. It's tough. But I said, we call it real WW talk for a reason. And I want to be authentic in my journey. And my journey right now, obviously, WW does not have a plan for pregnant women. So I am not trying to lose weight at this point. What I am trying to do is maintain the healthy habits that I have. That's why I'm doing my step bet and I'm walking and I
Yes.
have
Mhm.
continued to get my steps and I've been drinking my water and trying to focus on the things that I can control, but also trying to be very um, safe and aware of my mental health right now
Mhm.
Mhm.
because I feel very fragile, you know.
Mhm.
And I don't know how to, that's something I wanted to bring to the table because whether or not it's pregnancy, we've all had these times in
Mhm.
our lives where things have just felt really out of control. And this
Yeah.
is certainly one now where I need not
Mhm.
only support, but I'm
Mhm.
trying to figure out what resources I can kind of bring to myself to help me get through this time.
Yeah. I'd say let's camp out there.
Mhm.
How do you and do you work the plan when everything is crumbling around you and you feel like you can't focus on one thing?
So I want to acknowledge all the amazing things that you are doing, Candice, because I think we look at our journeys and say, "Oh my gosh, yeah, I'm on year 10 of WW, just sitting here, and I have nothing to show for it." Anyone could take that, standpoint. But when you think about all the mental work that's been done over the years, handling difficult news or challenging news 10 years ago pre WW and handling it now. I mean, I don't know. I'm not you. I can't say that, oh, definitely you wouldn't have handled it as well. But if it were me, I'd say, no, I wouldn't have handled it. I'd go straight to the Krispy Kreme or I'd go straight to whatever that vice is. And I'd go crazy. And you're not doing that. Like, you may be saying that you're not necessarily tracking, but you're doing your step bet. Like, how many do you think you would have continued that healthy habit if you hadn't done all this mental work over this time? Like, I'm incredibly proud of you for all of those things. And I think that's what all you can focus on now, taking it day by day and, doing the things that now are habits that you don't have to think about. You don't have to think about getting those steps now, right? Like, it's like, I'm going to step that I get steps. Like, no matter what's going on around me, that's what I do. And that's why the habits, like Erin that's asking me before with the habits that I'm building, that's why they're so important, because we can keep doing them because they're automatic at a certain point.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's such a good point. I think that the talks that we've have really helped me, because I wouldn't years ago, if this had happened 5 years ago, I don't know if this would have been my reaction. But I think that I'm struggling to figure out what I can control in a time that I don't feel in control of anything.
Mm-hmm.
That ironically, things like walking or like drinking my water are things that I feel like I can actually do. I think that the importance of understanding that just because the world gives me permission, because one, people give you permission when you're pregnant to just like
go off the rails. You're
oh
eating
my
for two.
God. Yeah. And especially when you are already going into pregnancy overweight, that's especially not true. The doctor will look at you and go, yeah, so, you can gain maybe 10 pounds total. We really would appreciate if you gain about 10. Just do your best. And they give you the look like, oh, you poor thing. Because first trimester, all you want is carbs. Okay. And not like the brown rice and like the brown, like you're like, give me fettuccine Alfredo, and bagels with cream cheese. Like, that's what the baby wants. And then you have this excuse and you look at your husband like, the baby wants a bagel. And no one can, but then also when you are dealing with grief or uncertainty, sometimes the way that people show you love is food, or they'll say, eat whatever you want. Don't worry about anything right now. So having that at the same time is, but we've talked about that. We've talked about the fact that food doesn't really fix it. It's not really doesn't make you feel any better. I will say I've had some ice cream and I have not regretted it. But I didn't come out of it feeling like it fixed anything, And right now I'm just really trying to not go inward, because I can be susceptible to just blocking off the world. I don't want to talk. Again, kind of like me, immediately disappear, forget who I am while I'm going through this. And I've been trying to reach out and to emote instead of eating those feelings and not doing emotional eating.
So one of the things that you did when you first when you first discovered the news and shared it with us, you shared that part and said, please keep on me. And we really appreciated having that permission from you, because, as your friends, it's a sensitive thing, because we don't know how much to talk with you about it, right? Do you want to talk about it? Do you not want to talk about it? And I really appreciated that you said from the get-go, I'm concerned that I'm going to go inward. And so I'm giving you permission to reach in. And that's what we needed as your friend. So one, I wanted to say that. And for anyone who's listening, who maybe is going through a similar situation, that isolation really is the worst thing. You can feel like that's what you need, but we're built for community. We're built to be with one another. And the isolation in situations like that is truly the worst thing. Even though we feel like we want to be alone because we want to process, we do need some of that, but we really need community around us. We need our friendships. We need the people just to love us, because we need when we need love the most is during times like that. So thank you for letting us be able to enter in, to be able to love you right now in this.
And it's been wonderful. And honestly, not just you all, but I'm grateful for WW as a program, not to sound like preachy and, but the fact that they do have another track that's called healthy habits. Like if you can be focused on weight loss or focused on healthy habits, and it adds additional points. If I were in the points counting mood, it'll probably be a great tool to use. But the thing is that they have a lot of mental health resources just from the meetings. The meetings are all about support. And, whether we're talking about our points or water, it really is that the focus, I feel, of the program has changed to mindset mainly as the driver for our actions. So whatever it is that I have been dealing with, I've been trying to use those tools to assist me even in this journey that I never wanted to be on. I felt like my life was going a certain way and it suddenly changed. I mean, just like, well, first with the pregnancy, I was like, oh, all right, well, we're doing this now. And then okay, well, maybe not, we don't know what's happening. And how do we still stay in the moment? And how do I still stay present? Because, and I recognize that routine is something that I'm hopeful. And I wanted to ask you all, when you've gone through difficult times, whether it be professionally, personally, whatever. I didn't want to film I was thinking about not filming last week, but I told you all that I needed to maintain that routine. And you might hear my son, he's agreeing with me. But I needed to maintain
that, Mom.
Yeah, he was like, that's good, Mom. That was a good point. But I needed to maintain that routine. I needed to stay busy, not ignore when I needed to cry and when I needed to just rest, but not staying in that. Do you all find that when you've gone through your seasons, because we all have, that keeping a routine helped you?
Last year was a really difficult year for me. I made a really significant change at the end of 2019 and was grieving the loss of, some professional things, and then having to deal with some personal stuff on top of it. And you guys were great to walk with me through it. Through that time, I gained and then, and COVID on top of it, right? That was absolutely fabulous. I gained about 17 pounds. And what I would say is that I let go of all routines. I was struggling just in every aspect, every area of my life. And I felt like I was in a free fall and I couldn't grab a hold of some things. And I would say that there were times where WW for me was a frustration because I kept watching my weight climb up, but I also wasn't in a mental space to be able to take care of it. Right. But at the same point, even though I wasn't doing the plan 100%, if you go back and listen to our previous podcast and previous conversations, you'd hear me say, doing 50% of the plan is better than no percent of the plan. And that was hugely helpful for me because at least was still some kind of an anchor, because I know that if I didn't, it would have been so much different. I know that I would have gained everything back. So I would say that there were times where I'm like, I just kind of quote unquote would throw everything out the window and I just feel, and I'd ate what I want when I wanted to eat it. I was not eating as if I had any plans for my future health. And then things started to change. I started to open up to you guys about what was going on. You guys were wonderful with me and encouraging me. And then I started realizing that a lot of the issues that were happening were coming from lack of boundaries. And I needed to start establishing some boundaries and some practical habits for myself. And it wasn't until I started putting those pieces in place, Candice, you mentioned a couple of minutes ago about trying to control what you can control, right? I started going through what are the things that I can control. I can control if I decide to shut my laptop at 4 p.m. and go for a walk every day. I didn't worry about what I was eating. I really didn't pay attention to that, but I started there with walking every day for 30 minutes because I knew it made me feel better to get that movement and to have a little bit of vitamin D and to improve, my mental space. And it did. And then other habits started coming along with it. So that was me trying to control what I could control, but also giving myself a win. And I feel like when we get into those situations where everything is exploded around us and like we can't control anything, it feels like we can control our own wins and we can find things that we can control that aren't about eating food.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. To answer your question, Candice, for me, I think that the time where I gained the most weight was probably the most unstructured and time of my life and it was college. I went away from college and I'm an only child. And, that was a huge transition. I had started Weight Watchers in high school and lost a bunch of weight. And then when I moved away to college, the first week I was there, my grandfather passed away and he was like a father to me. So not only was I dealing with being 5 hours away from home, I was dealing with that loss. And I didn't express it. I didn't really talk because I didn't know anyone there. I moved away to college. I went out of state and didn't know anyone. I was building friendships as this happened. So I remember having pizza random hour, and which is a typical college thing. But, the freshman 15 for me was a freshman 50. And it wasn't until years later that I realized that was where I think my emotional relationship with food began, because I wasn't like you talked about emoting earlier, Candice. I wasn't emoting. I wasn't expressing my frustration. I was also learning for the first time about, how to balance my meals and how to, it's not healthy to have Pop-Tarts at 10 o'clock at night just because you're studying. So I think as I started to build routines, and rejoined Weight Watchers at that point in my life, like I think a couple of years into college, I started to build those routines back and see success again. But I think that it goes the other way too. The most unstructured times and the times where we don't have those routines can be the times where we're the most out of control.
One thing that I'm hearing with all of us and Candice included is, let me just tell you a couple of things that I'm hearing as we try and figure out, like, how do we do this when life is crumbling around us? And where we really get in trouble is when we decide to release any structure. When we get rid of our boundaries, we stop adhering to our habits. That's when things start to go off the rails for us. And also when we're holding in our emotions and we're holding in feelings and we're not dealing with them. See, because the problem that we're dealing with, the problem that you're dealing with, Candice, right now, any of these situations that we're talking about, it's not a food issue. It's an inside issue. This is an emotional issue. And emotional issues can't be solved with food, right? They can help, even exercise. They can't be solved with exercise. Things can be alleviated through that. That's a healthy habit, but emotions have to be dealt with emotionally.
But I think we also then have to, like I said, I think your point is so well taken. And I think it starts with addressing the culture, right?
Right.
And the culture surrounding, like Rikki, you brought up a death, right?
Mm-hmm.
This feels like a death. I mean, and
Yeah.
that's not a death, but I mean, in terms of the death of what I thought it was
Right.
going to be like. Okay.
Right.
I'm mourning the fact that I had this thought of how this was going to look. And now that has been changed.
Yep.
And I had when someone actually dies, what do?
Agree.
Everyone, I mean, you're encouraged. Drop your routines.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Grieve,
Yeah.
cry, don't do anything. Just feel your emotions, which is great and it has its place. But I feel like sometimes you are, and demonize might be too strong of a word, but I do think that sometimes people look at you sideways if you aren't grieving in the right way.
Or the way that they want you to grieve.
The way they want
Right.
you to, or if you're like, okay, because I have been very, very honest since I found out the news. I've been telling people when they say, how are you? I'm not okay today. I'm not okay. I cried today, again, my son agrees. I cried today.
He's like, I know, Bob, I heard you.
Yeah, I cried today. I'm not okay, but I'm trying to be okay.
Mhm.
And I'm hopeful that maybe tomorrow will be better.
Mhm.
Yeah.
but I know that food isn't going to solve it. And I know that losing the routine just because you may want to give me permission. I feel like sometimes when I'm talking to people, and you all actually have been the exception to the rule, I think people need for me to be expressing a certain way. And sometimes I feel pressure to express in a way that makes other people see that I get it.
Yeah.
You know, like, oh, that's really hard. Tell me you feel how hard that is. Yes, I feel it. Cried yesterday. You should have seen me then, but I'm not really feeling like crying right now. And it's not really about you.
Right.
And it just because I'm at work and working doesn't mean I'm not thinking about it.
Right.
And
Right.
I haven't been able to bring myself to do a post in the group or to
Yeah.
count a point right now or to put a point in.
Right.
That's what I'm working on. But you know,
You don't owe anybody your tears.
But you feel like you do when you're a people pleaser. And that's another
Mhm.
piece, like wanting to say, like, I just want you to know that I know. Even doctors are like, you heard me, right? I heard you. You heard me. Yes, I heard you.
I heard you. I'm processing right now.
Did you want a tissue? I heard you. I need you to let me do this the way that feels authentic for me.
Yep.
You know, and Rikki, when you talked about the death, and Erin, when you were sharing with yours, there's no right way to do it. And if exercise is something that helps, or if I haven't gotten on the bike. I love the bike, but I just haven't. I just couldn't. It hasn't been a thing. The walking has, and the getting the steps, but the bike hasn't been my thing since I found out the news. And that's okay.
That's
And
okay.
maybe it'll be my thing tomorrow or next week, but it's just not right now.
Right.
So but that's hard. It's easy for me to say, but that's hard to feel because the people pleaser in me is really strong right now. Even though it is me who's going through it. You know?
Yeah. See, that's the thing that I go, Candice, I totally feel everything that you're saying. And I want to put a bubble around you because this is you going through this. You don't have to go through this in a way for someone else to understand. You know, it's like I want to release the people pleasers, all of us, from that, because this is you. This thing is about you and how you're going to make it through. And you can you bring as many people into this as you want, but you're the one who's controlling this, right? And you don't have to give that up to anyone else.
And that's partly ironically why I wanted to share in a weird way, to say, let's talk about this for others too. Like, stop projecting and putting your expectations and your thoughts on people about how they should interpret or experience their life. And be kind always. You never know what somebody is going through. Like, people can put up a facade and smile, and you see them and you think that everything is great, but you don't know what is going on behind the scenes. And it's been a humbling experience for me, and something that I said it just must be shared. We have 2,000 plus people in our Facebook group. If someone shares a post, you can make a judgment about that post. You don't know anything about their story. You have no clue why they felt that they needed to say something, whether they asked for support or help, you know. And I feel like we've lost that a lot. We're so opinionated, you know, we're so desiring to give our own thoughts to others and to express what they need to do, when really I think that the kindness that you all have shown me, you know, just saying, hey, let's watch Encanto, right? That's it, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Like, that didn't but it was one of the best things that has happened to me. And I told you all that millions of times. You're like, okay, stop saying thank you. Like, we got it. Thank you. And I was like, my TV's messing up. You all can leave. You're fine, Candice. True story. True story.
We're like, we're not leaving you, Candice.
The devil did not want us to watch that movie. And I was like, please. But that meant more to me during this time than anything that people have done. No words. It was action. And, you know, no matter how this turns out, you know, I know that sometimes there's purpose in pain. And when I shared with you all tonight that I was going to share it, you all said, you don't have to say anything. You don't owe anybody anything. I don't. But it feels authentic to me in my journey and in this space to be honest about the fact that I'm not okay, but that's okay,
Mhm.
that I'm not okay. And
Mhm.
I'm going to take it a day at a time. And that's going to have to be all right. And I
Mhm.
might not get on the bike. I might not count a point,
Mhm.
or I might, you know, but I think that, it's a good thing for us all to really be mindful of in our own journeys as well, that it's okay to not be okay. And we don't
Mhm.
owe anybody anything, because that is so anti people pleaser. I mean, like, they would kick us out the club. Like,
Right.
you owe everybody everything. So
Yes.
you can't be a people pleaser anymore. So
So some practical things moving forward, for someone who's going in this situation, right? In the situation of I'm trying to do WW, I'm trying to do healthy eating plan. If you're not on WW, right? I'm trying to get some things under my belt here, make some good changes. But I've had the rug pulled out from underneath of me, and I feel like now everything is working against me. What are some things that we can share to encourage someone as they're going through this? What are some practical steps?
honestly, it sounds so simplistic, but for me, the taking it a day at a time sounds so cliche, but it's so true, because not every day looks the same. Obviously, when you first get news or first have the change, you're maybe minute to minute. And it might just be that in that moment, the fact that you drank a sip of water was all that you could accomplish. And it wasn't on purpose.
Mhm.
It was just like someone told you you need to drink some water. And that might be all that you did that day. And that's fine.
Mhm.
Giving your tomorrow, you may do something different, or you may do less or more, and that's okay. So I think the first step is acknowledging that there has been a change, acknowledging the feeling, um, and sitting with it for a second, and accepting that, it's going to be a day by day thing. I no longer look forward to the weekly updates. It's like people who check on me every day becomes important. Every day matters. So I think that would be the first thing, for me personally. What about you guys when you've gone through something? Like, what would you say? What's important for you all?
I mean, I think what I learned from the experience I shared earlier is what I didn't do is have a trusted person that I could talk to and express myself and tell myself that it's okay. I think at that point in my life, I didn't tell myself it's okay to process this, and it's okay if you're not feeling okay. Um, and like you did, like Erin brought up earlier, just tell someone what you need. I think that's something that I would definitely do differently, in a similar situation.
Mhm. Rikki, I actually echo you in that because for me, when I was going through stuff last year, I don't usually tell people what's going on because I don't want to be let down. To me, that's even harder than what I'm going through is when I tell somebody what's happening and I'm let down. I went through really, really bad depression back around 2016 and 2017. And my thyroid was out of whack. So it was like a full-on medical issue, right? And my serotonin was like in the crapper. It was terrible. And I told a handful of people what I was going through. And out of the 8 people that I told, only 3 people came back and checked in with me in any type of regular occasion. And I'm talking I was on the brink of a suicide kind of a thing. Like
Mm.
that's how difficult this was. And so for me, opening up and telling people what I'm going through is really difficult because I just don't want to be let down. Like if I've opened up and shared something with you and then there's nothing else, it hurts more. It hurts more because it makes me not feel cared for or seen. But you have to keep trying and you have
Mhm.
to keep trying to involve someone. Candice, go ahead. I see you
I
saying
just think that that's so interesting that your fear is a fear of being let down, and mine was a
Mm.
fear of judgment.
right.
So it's more, how are you going to judge me for whatever it is? Do you think it's my fault? Like, even
Mhm.
something like your thyroid, like, do you think that it's because I'm overweight? Like, I'd be internalizing how you're processing what my issue is and blaming me. not
Yes.
necessarily if you'll be there for me.
Right. You
That's
know what? I
very
think
interesting.
it's because I'm there for so many people. I have so many people who reach out to ask me to be there for them that when the opportunity for it to be returned, because I rarely ask people for help. And I remember having a discussion with somebody. I said, "When was the last time I asked you for help for something?" And they went, "You're right. You never asked for help." I said, "Right. So if I'm coming to you and I'm telling you that I need help, I am truly in a grave and desperate situation." And they were like,
Mhm.
"Yeah, I got it. I got it." And that like changed things. So even for me last year, when I came and talked to you guys about what was going on, like there was a fear that I would tell you that, and you guys would say, "Yep, I'm praying for you." And that would be it. Right. And I would,
Oh, so
r-
sad. Anyway,
right.
how
And you
about those
guys,
Orioles? Yeah.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. And you guys busted through that because you cared for me. You were even sending me emails about devotions you found that were speaking into the situation that I was in. And I really appreciated that. And so I think to Ricky's point, that's about finding the people who really who are your people. People that you may be scared to trust, but you're going to trust. And also just be very clear and tell people what you want. Candice, like, and don't expect them to read your mind. Candice, you were really clear with us that I need you guys to check in on me. And we're like, okay, done. This is what you want.
Mhm.
We'll do this until you tell us this is not what you want. So
Mhm.
I think that's one big part of it. I know it was a very long answer. And then the second thing is find the thing that you can one thing that you can control. Take all of the pressure and the literally the weight, air quotes, of WW and whatever off your shoulders, right? This is survival for you. How do you want to survive through this? Find your thing that you can anchor, that you can use an anchor as stability through it, and hold on to that thing. Um I don't know what is your anchor right now, Candice?
Gosh, what is my anchor? I don't know. I feel like for me personally, my faith, just knowing that there is a bigger purpose like to what's going on, and the fact that that I want to honor and respect. I don't want to say do it right because there's no right
Yeah.
way,
Mm-mm,
but
yeah.
like I want to respect how I'm feeling in this space and to be authentic in this journey because I feel like it could be helpful
Mhm,
for others in the future. I know that still sounds people pleasing and like, how's that an anchor? But it is. It's like I want to really honor and be so transparent to myself first about everything and to feel it and to go through it so that I can say, no, I really truly have processed this and I'm
mhm,
processing it now because I do believe that we go through things because we're going to meet others who have gone through it. And I
mhm,
want to be able to tell that person authentically, this is what it took, or this is what it's taking for me to walk through this. So my anchor is my honesty and my my desire to be authentic with myself in this journey because I think I've gone through so many things in the past and not been authentic.
yeah,
And I don't like how it felt. I didn't like how it felt, to put on the happy face or to pretend. And also, and this might be a little bit of an aside to this, but Erin, you were talking about when I was listening to you talk, I also wanted to mention that I also am aware that not everybody is able to share this space with me,
mhm,
meaning that there are going to be some people who just the way that they respond or the way that they give help is not going to be helpful.
mhm,
And that's okay. It's okay to say, I can't interact with you, or you're not somebody who's going to be a part of my journey through this for
mhm,
this time right now, because I think that I wanted to find a way to make everybody involved.
mhm,
Like everybody has good intentions. Not everybody does,
Mhm.
not
mhm,
everybody does. Like, so I do know that even, like I said, sharing here, it might be that I get some feedback from people that's not helpful, and that's okay. I have to process that and say,
mhm,
that's not for me. That's a
mhm,
tangent, but I just wanted to put that out there as well.
mhm. But no, I think that's an important thing that you raised too, because again, when we start, no matter who we are or what we're going through, if we start opening up and sharing that with other people, we may not always we may not always get supportive help in the way that we need it. And we have to also remember that we don't need to take everything that comes our way. And we
Mhm.
can just politely, as you would say, Candice, unagree with the information. We don't have to take it and use it. We can just simply say, hey, thank you very much. And
And I
let that
also
be
want to
it.
give people the grace that sometimes when things are really hard, sometimes people
Right.
don't know what to say. They
Yeah.
really don't. Like, I mean,
Mhm.
I personally have put my foot in my mouth with somebody who was grieving or going through something hard. And I
Mhm.
thought I was saying something nice. And they were like, well, that wasn't very helpful. And I'm like,
Mhm.
I meant it from the purest of places. I didn't mean for it to come out in a way that you couldn't receive.
Hmm.
But so giving grace to people as well is a part of this, and saying that sometimes people do mean well and they just
Hmm.
don't know how to express it,
Yep.
you know. So that's a
Yeah.
part as well. So it was a lot. It's a lot to discuss. And I just want to thank you all for again processing with me during this time when it was something that was just being shared with you all. Um, but also being willing to be honest about, because you all helped me through it by being honest about how you handled times in your life when it was difficult, because that helps me feel less alone. Because sometimes you're like, am I being attacked? Like, what did I do?
Mhm.
I thought I was a pretty good person. I mean, I pay my dues and tie. I feel like I feed the hungry, and make sure my son is well fed and dressed. I don't understand, but that doesn't mean anything.
Does
Mhm.
say that does not mean protection from life's trials at
Which
Aw.
all.
is which is a travesty.
Right.
Okay. I just like to say I don't like it. I don't think it's fair, because I do think that you should get some points
Right.
for the good and be like, okay, we're not going to give you a tragedy right now.
Right.
Like maybe 99 years old. I don't know.
Then we've moved into a whole theological thing.
Look,
Like, let's add it.
is it in Atomic Habits? Please tell me it's somewhere
Right.
in here. This book fixes everything. I'll be like, Erin, where does it fix it? Where?
Right. Exactly. I think it's on chapter 449.
It's like, I haven't written that book yet.
Right.
So,
Well, Candice, thank you. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for your openness and your transparency and how you shared and what you've shared. You know that we're walking with you through this, and we know that our Real WW Talk community is in it with you too, and loving you. And I would also just respectfully ask our community not to send you a bunch of private messages, just to kind of help you and things that you might have to respond to. If we could just maybe keep them within the posts on the group, just to kind of help your privacy, and that way we're not adding one more thing onto something that you have to think about or do. Is that okay that I say that? Okay. Yes. Okay.
yeah,
I
I
really
appreciate any feedback that you all want to give, like I said, but I will admit that my response time is going to be severely lagging right now.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Very much.
And we will keep up with you weekly on
Mhm.
what's going on and surrounding you, and love and prayers for this little baby.
Mhm.
And
So
if you want to every week, again, bring salads and chocolate milk bars.
Oh, every week.
I know. See, again, trying to be an opportunist during the horrible time. It's horrible. I should
listen,
not do that.
that was the best salad I ever had in my
It really
I
is
life.
so
mean,
good.
I would be okay with having that salad and that cake every week, but I don't know if it would match with my WW. The cake, I don't know.
I just think that we should not rob Erin of an opportunity to figure out how to make the cake taste the same but lower point if she
Okay.
wants. Like,
Okay.
Erin, if you feel like you want to just every week test different recipes, like I said, I feel like that's helpful.
Listen, I
No.
just want to let everybody know that I also gave the ladies some strawberries. I cut up
Oh, yes.
strawberries.
We forgot all about the straw
And the chicken
and the
soup.
chicken soup.
All the healthy stuff. I'm like, oh, that's right.
Oh,
I
that.
That was
also
great
gave them,
too.
yes.
We don't need that every week. Just the salad and the cake.
I'm so sorry, Erin. And they were so good. Okay. The
My
strawberries were
drinks. I
great.
brought you drinks.
Oh my gosh. Again, the focus on the main ingredients.
We know what was most important for us.
But all of that was excellent. Okay. When in
Listen, so
doubt, these ladies.
if you have a friend who's going through a hard thing, don't sometimes don't ask them what they want to do. Just do it for them because
Yeah.
very few people are going to reject, when you show
Mhm.
up with salad and cake, okay?
Mhm. Yeah,
Or
we
do
invited
we
ourselves
want to
over.
watch a movie with you? No, like that
No,
wasn't going to
right,
be a thing. Like, no,
right.
I'm not.
Okay, that's it for us. We would love to hear from you. We'd love to hear how you've processed when you've gone through hard stuff while trying to do the WW journey, how you've done it. We know that there are people right now who are listening and watching who are in the same boat and who are struggling. They're struggling to hold on right now for dear life. And so, if you've been there, I'm sure that you have, all of us have at some point. We'd love to hear from you. We'd love for you to share your story. Um, Please drop it in the comments because we know that people will. That's the first thing I'd love to do is go read comments. I like to hear what people say. So we would love it if you would be willing just to take a couple seconds and just share in the comments. You can even send us an email if you'd like to. It's realwwtalk@gmail.com. And we will make sure that Candice gets to see whatever you send, and we'll take care of responding for her. But we love this community. We thank you so much for surrounding Candice right now and all of us as we walk through this. Anything else you want to say, Candice?
Other than from the bottom of my heart, thank you to you ladies and to the community and people who have reached out even in the past weeks without knowing that anything was going on. I just want to tell you all I really appreciate it. And this safe space means the world. It really does. So thank you.
Well, on that note, we will say goodbye.
Au revoir.